Hi, everybody. Here we are, another Thursday night. Thank you for everybody who sent in some very interesting questions. And tonight I'm going to try and do a few of them, at least one or two, hopefully. And this one is from Toshi from California. And he says, regarding the mindful walking exercise that you described last weekend, that was the weekend in Nashville. It seems like the rocking motion created while walking creates a sort of whole body pump that can circulate energy. You may remember that, some of you at least. It was called the A-frame. I've mentioned it many times and shown you how to do it, but it's one of the things that gets kind of lost in over a period of time. But the A-frame is very interesting. I'm sorry I can't do it here.
Can you describe it?
I will try and describe it. Picture yourself standing with, let's say, 1 foot forward. For example, we'll use the right foot and we'll put that forward. So you have 1 foot kind of back and another one forward. And then you try and be aware of the energy above your head and behind you, or in front of you, either one. It'll stimulate both. And then you just move forward on the right foot, because this is the one we chose. You can use it the opposite way if you want. And hold, and slowly just move back and lean on the left foot. You'll notice that you'll bring your toe up a little bit. You don't have to, but you will, because it's what we kind of do reflexively. And you'll lean back a little bit more until you're leaning a little bit on the ball of the foot and the heel. And then next time you'll come up, you'll tend to move forward on your heel and then your ball of your foot again. And then slowly, as you move back and forth, you start to notice the energy moving. Now, remember saying often we use our hands, try to open the hands because we use them a lot. Well, we also use our feet a lot. So those are just two pairs of chakras. And when you do this, it will stimulate the root center a bit, and it will try to help that energy from the root to move all the way up to the top of the head. If you practice this a little bit, you can, if you're out shopping someplace in a shopping mall, you can walk a little slow and look at what's in the windows, and you'll start to notice that there's energy moving up nice and slowly and back. Yes, you can intensify and move it strong, but that's your personality thing. We're always trying to get the personality to soften down so you can begin to notice something in behind. Our dilemma is that we are descriptive people. We like to speak out what we do and how we are doing and all the rest of it. This is a matter of just noticing the subtlety of energy past the personality orientations. Anyway, Toshi is bringing this up because we did a little bit of this when we were down there, and just to try and get a rocking motion, a little bit rocking, a bit like the pump, but it's, as he will mention, I'll let it, his words tell it. I'm wondering whether the energy in the feet could also stimulate circulation. Yes, because the feet centers and the ankles, they come on. For example, as our weight shifts from heel to toe, The pressure moves across our foot from bottom to the top. Try not to overthink this. Just let it be a part of just letting go a bit and focusing on energy to see how it's working. If energy similarly moved from our heels to our toes, then would that help circulating energy? Excuse me. Within our system. Why my throat center came on was I talked about the ankles. It's part of the thing that you have to be a part of. I wonder if you'd get some water for me. Thanks. These things subtly engage, and there is no question about we are linked all the way through with respect to these chakras. So, if energy, again, moved from our heel to our toes, then would that help circulate energy within our system? Of course, that's the reason why you would do this. It is a circulating process, moving energy upward and down, upward and down. Very similar to the pump, but of course when you do the pump, you don't have to be walking, and you can do the pump very softly as well. Just part of all of this is to get you to be aware of the subtlety beyond the personality energy. This is, at first, you will perceive the personality energy. Be careful you don't be engorged with your importance because of it. And when it happens into the chest, for example, suddenly you're not even looking at the idea that you're able to use that energy and be able to have lots of energy and all that stuff. Everything starts moving into a softer domain. So it's, once again, I keep talking about this because it is an important piece, ultimately. And next question, the second question I'll tackle will kind of give you an idea about that. So, the second question is, that Toshi has expressed, Shiva is not considered to be a Hindu god, or as I normally look at these things as metaphor. They tell stories, and we're storytellers. So there is a story around Shiva. He is known, at least in part, as the destroyer of illusions. He is also known as the creator of existence. This is very, very important in the metaphorical engagement that Shiva is a part of. Could one demonstration of this aspect be an energy frequency that destroys the illusion that something we think is important really is not? For example, all of us have probably experienced that with our practice. Some things that were once so important to us now seem uninteresting. This happens in our lives as well, or unimportant. How can we better engage the destruction of illusion for our betterment? This is a dilemma, and it's a fundamental one. It is often thought by some that there is an engagement, and there is another question here. Let me see if I can find it. No, I think it's a question from somebody else related to something similar. Oh, yes. I'm going to try and do the two of them at the same time. This is a question from Catherine as well, from British Columbia. This question is regarding the Eastern icons you show us in the figures with the multiple arms, standing in the back of the incarnated dwarf-like or baby-like form that the icon is stepping on. This is a different icon, but it's the same thing. Shiva is standing on a human being that is dwarfed by an engagement with exceedingly high states. And this has often been a question around Shiva, and there are many other icons that have the same kind of thing, where there's a small baby-like, that's us, as a metaphor, very early in our training, coarser levels of function. And we have a wondrous engagement, and we must understand that wondrous engagement at the coarser level is for engaging with life on these planes. Well, that becomes, wow, profoundly important. We can get to the point where we only think that anything that we say is the only way to look at things, which it's not. It's true. But since we're talking about these icons, it's very important. What occurs is, out of this being, personality constructed being, the personality must find a place in a meeting place between the beginnings of higher states, the beginnings of higher states and the coarser states here, so that we can still be aware of what is going on to some degree in the personality states, ground level, physical, emotional, and mental, and what we construct in the illusions of an engagement with our own wondrous way of looking at ourselves, whether it be positive, negative, doesn't matter. We elevate that construct. And elevation doesn't mean lifting up, and it doesn't mean lifting down. It means the importance of either one. The importance of either one. And in these iconic metaphors that are hints as to what maybe exists on, or can exist on these planes, can exist on other planes, is this idea of an engagement with higher states than the personality can engage with, because the personality gets to engage with itself. And it sees the features of itself in an illusory way. And it builds a little bubble, universe, within itself, of itself, and why it should be that way. And it is a construction that is developed in a movement towards getting to the place where it can begin to see it and recognize that that is just a construction, and therefore it needs a spot within itself where it can see beyond the personality into states of universality that exist actually coexist, but we can't perceive them very well. So, in a kind of a way, what those metaphors are telling us is that these positional places are not focused on the personality's goodness or badness. They're focused on the ability to handle, in a broader way, how we really are internally. Recognize it, not negate it, not elevate it, but recognize this is how it is here on these planes. These planes are states of engagement with life, of a kind. In that meeting place, a place just beyond the personality's natural tendencies, there is a place where the link up with how you love yourself can be noticed by you and not necessarily agreed with by you, because there is another place within you that can slightly see life differently. It's uncomfortable, especially in the early days. I would say it's uncomfortable at any time. But there is a state of humility that is there, a state of understanding or compassion that is there, not only for you, but for everyone else. And this is a dilemma with us. Our actual definition of compassion is not verbalization about the fact that we're compassionate. It's an engagement internally with full comprehension that you understand the vulnerability of another, because you understand that it is part of you. This is a different kind of thing other than defining something and being really important because you think you're acting that way. That's the small childish part that these higher states are standing on. Okay, there is a link in that meeting place with those states where you begin to be kind of a trainee, kind of understanding way beyond you could understand before, but you're still linked to that youngish formula. And I'm not talking about this youngish and older formula in relationship to the personality and how many psychologically talk about this. I'm talking about this as a form that is integrated with the idea that it is just a form. And it has the ability to move into a state where links can occur of love and compassion that is way beyond our very, I'm sure, comprehensive definitions of either one of those two words. You can see how difficult this is to express. In this place, you can perceive the beginnings of higher states because they're available to be perceived. At the same time, the links with them get stronger in the meeting place. And as you move and grow, you recognize more the vulnerability that you have when you're out of that spot, and the need you have to be back into it, not based on your personality's view, but based on a reality that is engaged with an experience that has nothing but love within it. And this is difficult for us because we must defend against these things. In other words, let me clear that up. We must defend against anything that would take us out of the illusion that we have of our own value that enables us to get through some of the nonsense that occurs on these planes, one could say. However, this is not nonsense. It is how things work on these planes. And we can see this by observation, by looking at our history, by trying to understand the dilemmas between views of anything. Because then the need to be correct about a view is, and who, that view must be more important because, and then we get to mathematics, numbers. 6 people agree with that, and 10 people agree with that, therefore that's better. We don't have any other way to do that. And we're not always very compassionate. Or are we very allowing of other views? And this is understood because we understand that we have been through a lot as human beings. We sometimes forget that, and education is one of the things that might help us to remember that. And there are those who don't want to educate because then you'll know stuff. And then you think differently. Well, that's complicated. And all of this stuff is complicated by versions of how the personality functions. So the destroyer, in the Shiva destroyer, metaphorically speaking, allows an awareness to begin to occur. Take it from a positive point of view, about how you function. That destroyer doesn't destroy love, but it helps you to create a different view of that love that you give to yourself. You can love anything deeply. These glasses are more important than any other glasses. Well, they are if I can't read, but that's the only reason. They're a tool, an implement. We can't see that in our relationship with how we function habitually in relationship to the world. And this is why you have these kinds of metaphorical images with some backgrounds. We in our Western world have other images that we use with very little understanding sometimes. But we do have constructed systems. And so we look at systems and agree with those systems. So the ancient metaphorical engagements with life were really important. In my opinion, many of our biblical backgrounds are wonderful metaphors that keep alluding to the fact that we are more able than we think. And it's not related to the personality aspect. It's related to an engagement with various different states of engagement. But we have difficulty with metaphors these days. We've had difficulty with these metaphors for a long period of time. But they're images that ultimately will be understood by some, which may be positive, By others? Maybe not. However, understanding is different than experiencing. And these metaphors are showing us that this can be experienced as an ability to perceive at a slightly different level. You can be aware of something beyond the personality's constructed dictate. And that is very valuable. Ultimately, hopefully, we understand these things a lot better, and then we can begin to perhaps allow some of these meeting places within each individual to occur experientially based on energetic engagement, little at a time. Much of our engagement is based on this idea. See it, react to it, name it, and now we know. Not like that. That's not the experiential level. You can experience anything. Being hit by a car, being hit by an idea, telling yourself that there's only one way to look at an idea. And at the same time, we have 8 billion people looking at things from many points of view. Tragic if we haven't got room for some of those. Not thought of by many as tragic. By some, you would say, no, our view is better than that view, better than this view, better than this view, better than that view. And therefore, once again, our personality is not that small little child that was talked about in relationship to our New Testament in the Western world, but a giant of a Goliath of a beingness that is engaged with lion tendencies. I don't mean lying tendencies, lion tendency. I'm always impressed by that one little thing in the Bible where at the end of it all, the lion will lie down with the lamb. The lamb is that universal loving flow. The lion is the personality's engagement with whatever it thinks it must be true. Then that makes it true. That is not the same thing. The two are able to engage in a place within them both. And that is a feature of growing, of which we will have great difficulty with because our personalities have a great need to be valued because we are so vulnerable without that understanding. This is a wonderful question. My point of view, of course. I'm just going to look and see if there made any other comments that I didn't talk about. How can we better engage the destruction of illusion for our betterment? This has always been a difficult one. There was an old adage or an old belief that related to the idea that you could basically heal yourself. So difficult to understand. If you have a construct, a system, asking truly for healing for that system could provoke a crack in the system. Just a shift. I used to talk about this in the 80s all the time. people must have been totally bored, but they kept coming to listen to this stuff. Because that crack is there. You allow a perception of something that is already pasted on the wall. One dimension. This is right and that is wrong. This I do not understand, and this I understand better. Makes better sense. Because I am schooled in this rather than that. This is very difficult for us. Each one of us is schooled in the traditional way of how we engage with life. And we have been doing it with great practice. And we will continue to do it until a point comes when we have the courage to do it differently. And this is really difficult for us. This is probably the hardest thing anyone will be able to deal with in this question. If you are sincere and really truly do want to grow, that means beyond you and how you think. Think of that one for a second. This could be disturbing. Beyond you and how you think. Right now, right this second. If that happens, there's a certain amount of vulnerability that can occur. So my question is always, are we up for that? Or are we still really involved with wanting things only to be the way that we think they should be, and then create power, more power in us to insist and maintain that that would be true? See, that is not growing, from my point of view, unless one thing happens. Because it's so obvious to us, we begin to see it. And we're not as afraid to allow that to be seen. Because it makes us very vulnerable to the next step. And the next step is actually understanding that that's only a small piece of life. It's just a form, it's a suit, a pair of clothes, some clothes you put on. Okay, this is my physical clothes. I'm not going to do it. No. This is my physical clothes. This is my emotional clothes. And maybe the hair in my head might be my mental clothes. And how that looks in a mirror and how I like the looks of that. That's it. That's my personality, and that's the way it is. And if that changes, I'm very upset. You're going to have a hard time as you get older. Oh, by the way, that was a metaphor. So you're not really going to have a hard time as you get older. But if you start seeing things, you and your illusions, me and my illusions, whatever they may be, and you start seeing them differently, it's going to make you feel a little bit vulnerable. So you have to contend with that as a growing being. If you have the courage to do that, it's different than speaking. It's an internal thing. Yes, you can name it and you can engage with it, but you really have no idea this level of growing that you can contend that you have until later, when that becomes less contentious, not even interested in it. because it's not relevant. You know something's happening. Don't know quite what it is, but you know something's happening. And it's not about you being powerful. It's about you being able to begin to perceive something beyond the personalizations that you have. This is tough for us. I don't know how this is ever going to happen. I say use a life map. I say talk to you. Talk to anything that is different than what you think. Eventually, what you see, you have to get to the point where you can see it. And anything that comes in that's different, then use the life map on it. Ask for healing. Don't force it. Just turn the hands on. Ask for help. Increase the link. Energy will come in. You try to watch it. Don't you be the pusher. Well, that's no fun. Because if you put the hands up there and you can spray it and you know that you're doing it, then that makes your personality really important. It's the nature of what happens on these planes. Then you are in an illusion that relates to spirituality. It's not so harsh as that. Eventually, because of an increase in flow, you'll notice energy coming in for a purpose that you did not try to do anything with. If you can say that that wasn't you, now you're starting to understand there's something other than the you that you've already constructed as a spiritual person, so-called. We are so vulnerable that we have to take our little bits of valuable things that we come up with to make us feel better in a moment until that meeting place can be developed in such a way that we can see and understand that we're okay, but we also need to broaden out so we can see what we're really like, and then gentle down our reactions and our actions. But we're not ready for that yet. We're just beginning. Others think that they're already there. Some are actually already there. Those who think they're already there are there in the illusion of what they believe needs to be true for them to feel good about themselves. That's the personality stuff that we all share. And we share this because it's difficult for us to do it any other way yet. So we easily can counteract actual growing because we're so vulnerable. Do you think that a higher state would not understand that? I think it would understand it because it knows us, in my view, as we are. And as you become more aware of that from time to time, you see that your vulnerability is there when you think it's not there. And you suddenly are realizing that your personality has shifted a bit or changed somewhat. You're beginning to get into an aspect of the meeting place. For higher levels and seeing us here on these levels. And that has an effect on the whole of the species. Sometimes I wonder about that, and I get concerned about it, to be honest. Why? Good question. If more love comes into us, as a species, then the species will see or protect what it's already doing, because it's fearful of losing the images that it believes are really important to remain the way it is. If you want to cut that down, look at nations. If you want to cut that even down, look at cities, look at individuals. People battle to maintain how they love, how they function. Please think about that. I think also doing the pump, doing the redirecting, pull your emotion off of itself. Pull your intensity off of itself. Redirect it upward. It helps you to see that something is happening and can happen. It doesn't lodge in the brain right away that that's what happens, because the brain is affiliated with the personality construct until it broadens out. Because it has an ache to maintain the values that it's already placed and attributed to the images that are already constructed by you, whether you know them or not. So no devaluation. Just say, oh my goodness, I caught one of those images. That will help. And attempt not to use them as often as you believe they have to be used for the purpose of maintaining your view of how life should be. In the judgment of others. This is really difficult for us. I don't know if we can do this ultimately. But all those metaphors, those images, they purport that this is possible. Heaven on earth. Being at one with the Father. These principles relative to how you can allow yourself to let that be without becoming important for having it happen. We're caught in a catch-22 sometimes. I think sometimes it's worth laughing about it. Sometimes I think it causes some of us to cry about it, and sometimes it's just understanding, and it leads us towards being compassionate and recognizing each and every person out there is doing exactly what they can, or wish that they can, no matter what that is, because that's a part of the nature of the images that Shiva, in the old tradition, might say could destroy, but it does not want to destroy itself. is just another state. So in the engagement in these images, they're one. Through the foot, they're still one. They're tied together. So these states are tied together with other states. Meaning there is a way of engaging gently, little by little, with a state that relates to higher states, whatever you would like to call it. And whatever levels that you might be capable of beginning to understand might exist. We love to name things. We will name them differently. Each language chooses a different name. We don't dare say they're similar, because if we did, well, that would be awful. No, it just would be different than the belief we already have. That's all. Different levels of understanding. For example, just in the last thing about this, if you thought of higher levels as only having one level, I'm not one of these people who believe that, but there are many levels of growth within higher states. And slowly, we might be able to handle some of those levels little by little. But we have to let go of what we already think is the most important thing in the world. I don't know about that. I think you have to maintain what you think you need to maintain to comfort yourself until you don't need them as much to comfort themselves. And I'm not sure how long that would take. So doing some of these energy exercises, just a few, there are many others, I'm sure, can help you at least to move towards constructing a meeting place. Past your personality's valuable engagement with how you basically think things should be, including what you think things should be, until it broadens out more, or you're capable of broadening out more. So that covers this one, I think. As long as you also try to leave room for the understanding of, even if you don't like them, other people's ways of doing things, because that's all they can do. They're not good, bad, they're just doing what they can, as you are doing what you can. So one way of looking at it. I would like to try and do one of these before we quit tonight. One other one. This one is from Pat Donahue. And you talked about seeing from two different states. Is the higher state the one from which we are able to see us doing us? Is shifting into that state what enables us to perceive differently? Boy, that's a little bit about what we were just talking about. Pat, this is one of the most difficult things, because even what we were just talking about, our dilemma is, if we haven't experienced something like this, where we can't even think of our own personality in that instant, we can't draw it to ourselves. If we haven't experienced that, then my discussion of this is kind of out there flopping in the wind. And we're trying to use our natural, logical understanding to make some sense of this. And so, in this particular case, that's why I call this area a movement into an area of a meeting place. Actually, that higher state is in us, and we use it. It's an energy we use for the purpose of getting our way. We don't want to hear that. Although maybe some may want to hear it and say, well, you see, if it's in me, everything I say is right and the only way to be. But it's not like that. There's a connection spot where an awareness starts to develop, where you start to see your personality's wilds as what? They're just techniques you can use to get your way. Or the form that has been necessary for you to have to engage in the world the way you have and survive it. That's not the meeting place. That's what we've constructed. And that, in the old traditions, would be the thing that you wanted to loosen up so you can allow yourself to perceive something way beyond the nature of that. Just for seconds. So in our system, we're trying to become aware of one level. That's the personality coarseness. It's body, motion, mind, directive from our own self and the way we create a mechanism so that we can get our way, basically. And we think nobody can see that, and that's not real. It's hard for some, but many others can. So there's nothing hidden from there, from a higher state. Higher state that has no investment in helping you train to get to another place within you so that you don't do how you've been trained, even though you can help others through that old training by changing it. Oh, this is interesting. So then this meeting place, this that I'm talking about, it's a place that seems to be within the personality, kind of, because you have an awareness that begins to cultivate, that begins to develop. And now you're watching yourself do these things. And sometimes you'd be quite happy that you're capable of doing that. Very clever. Very streetwise. And that becomes an important piece. It's like a elevation that I talk about. You become proud of it. In our world, that's the basic premise of how we function. And others look at, dollars and cents and position and place and all the rest of it. And then you meet a guy walking down the street who hasn't got anything at all, and they don't care to because they're in full engagement with higher states and they don't know how to live in life. There's got to be a middle ground there. So when you're looking at something, this is a wonderful thing. This living on the coarser levels, but moving towards through meditation and prayer, if you wish. And I think that that's a vital thing, my opinion. And then moving into a place where you can actually perceive the gentle softness of that higher state. and know the difference. You can watch yourself engaging and see the harshness that you have from time to time. And right in the midst of that harshness, you perceive you doing that and you don't agree with it. That you're kind of moving into that space and the boundary. And then you begin to notice that gentleness, and suddenly your focus is there, not in the other place. That's the beginning of engaging at that level. And this can be noticed by us from time to time. However, our normal engagement with life is to validate ourselves related to what we do. It's honest. So that's the tendency that we have. We tend to speak out rather quickly and sometimes rather harshly. And that is considered valuable. It's not that valuable. But in our coarser lanes of life, it sometimes is considered somehow valuable. And as a matter of fact, it's just cementing a thicker wall around our own importance. Whereas in some of those icons that you might have noticed, there's no wall around that child where that person has a foot. And thinking of background music that might be in many of our relationships with being brought up, not all, quietening down that part has been spoken about, but not necessarily lived. It's a dilemma, and it's one that we're all trying to meet with and do the best we can with it. So in that question, you have another question. I know I'll get to that one later. Do the best you can, and I wish you well. Keep meditating. Keep thinking about that higher state. I'd like to meditate now, if you don't mind, and I'll just mention to do the balancing, the grounding at the end of that time. I wish you well, everybody.
रत्नैः कल्पितमासनम् हिमजलैः स्नानं च दिव्याम्बरम् नानारत्नविभूषितम् चन्दनम् जाति चम्पकबिल्वपत्ररचितम् पुष्पं च धूपं तथा दीपं देवदयानिधे पशुपते हृत्कल्पितं गृह्यताम् सौवर्णेन नवरत्नखण्डरचिते पात्रे घृतं पायसम् भक्ष्यं पञ्चविधं पयोदधियुतं रम्भाफलं पानकम् शाकानां यतं जलं रुचिकरं कर्पूरखण्डोज्ज्वलम् ताम्बूलं मनसा मया विरचितं भक्त्या प्रभो स्वीकुरु छत्रं चामरयोर्युगं व्यजनकं चादर्शकं निर्मलम् वीणा भैरिमृदङ्गकोहलकला गीतं च नृत्यं तथा साष्टाङ्गं प्रणतिः स्तुतिर्बहुविधा एतत् समस्तं मया संकल्पेन समर्पितं तव विभो पूजां ग्रहाण प्रभो आत्मा त्वं गिरिजामते सहचराः प्राणाः शरीरं ग्रहम् पूजा ते विषयोपभोगरचना निद्रा समाधिस्थितिः सञ्चारः पदयोः प्रदक्षिणविधि स्तोत्राणि सर्वा गिरो यत् कर्म करोमि तत् अखिलम् शम्भो तवाराधनम् करचरणकृतं वा कायजं कर्मजं वा श्रवणनयनजं वा मानसं वापराधम् विहितमविहितं वा सर्वमेतच्छमस्व जय जय करुणाब्धे श्री महादेव शम्भो भक्तो न माता न बन्धुर्न दाता न पुत्रो न पुत्री न भृत्यो न भर्ता न जाया न वेद्या न वृत्तिर्ममैव गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानी गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानी भवाब्धावपारे महादुःखभीरो प्रपात प्रकामी प्रलोभी प्रमत्ता कुसंसारपाश प्रबद्धः सदाहं गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानी गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानी न जानामि दानं न च ध्यानयोगम् न जानामि तन्त्रं न च स्तोत्रमन्त्रम् न जानामि पूजां न च न्यासयोगम् गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानी गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानी न जानामि पुण्यं न जानामि तीर्थम् न जानामि मुक्तिं लयं वा कदाचित् न जानामि भक्तिं व्रतं वापि माता गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानी गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानी कुकर्मी कुसङ्गी कुबुद्धि कुदास कुलाचारहीन कदाचारलीन कुदृष्टि कुवाक्य प्रवन्द सदाहम् गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि प्रजेशं रमेशं महेशं सुरेशं दिनेशं निशीथेश्वरं वा कदाचित् न जानामि चान्यत् सदाहं शरण्ये गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि विवादे विषादे प्रमादे प्रवासे जले चानले पर्वते शत्रुमध्ये अरण्ये शरण्ये सदा मां प्रपाहि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि अनाथो दरिद्रो जरारोगयुक्तो महाक्षीणदीन सदा जाड्यवक्त्रा विपत्तौ प्रविष्ट प्रणष्ट सदाहम् गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका
शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं मुक्तोऽहं नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं मुक्तोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं मुक्तोऽहं नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं मुक्तोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं अद्वैतमानन्द रूपं अरूपम् अद्वैतमानन्द रूपं अरूपम् ब्रह्मोऽहं ब्रह्मोऽहं ब्रह्मस्वरूपोऽहं ब्रह्मोऽहं ब्रह्मोऽहं ब्रह्मस्वरूपोऽहं चिदोऽहं चिदोऽहं सच्चिदानन्दोऽहं चिदोऽहं चिदोऽहं सच्चिदानन्दोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं मुक्तोऽहं नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं मुक्तोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं चेत्तानि नाहं न च श्रोत्रजिह्वे न च घ्राणनेत्रे न च व्योमभूमिर्न तेजो न वायु चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न च प्राणसंज्ञो न वै पञ्चवायु न वा सप्तधातु न वा पञ्चकोश न वाक्पाणिपादं न चोपस्तपायु चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न मे द्वेषरागो न मे लोभमोहो मदोर्नैव मे नैव मात्सर्यभावः न धर्मो न चार्थो न कामो न मोक्षः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् न पुण्यं न पापं न सौख्यं न दुःखं न मन्त्रो न तीर्थं न वेदा न यज्ञः अहं भोजनं नैव भोज्यं न भोक्ता चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न मृत्युर्न शङ्का न मे जातिभेदः पिता नैव मे नैव माता न जन्म न बन्धो न मित्रं गुरो नैव शिष्यः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् अहं निर्विकल्पः च सर्वत्र सर्वेन्द्रियाणां न च सङ्गतं नैव मुक्तिर्न मेया चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम्
ब्रह्ममुरारिसुरार्चितलिङ्गम् निर्मलभासितशोभितलिङ्गम् जन्मज दुःखविनाशकलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् देवमुनि प्रवरार्चितलिङ्गम् कामदहन करुणाकरलिङ्गम् रावणदर्पविनाशनलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् सर्वसुगन्धिसुलेपितलिङ्गम् बुद्धिविवर्धनकारणलिङ्गम् सिद्धसुरासुरवन्दितलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् कनकमहामणिभूषितलिङ्गम् फणिपतिवेष्टितशोभितलिङ्गम् दक्षसुयज्ञविनाशकलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् कुङ्कुमचन्दनलेपितलिङ्गम् पङ्कजहार सुशोभितलिङ्गम् सञ्चितपापविनाशकलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् देवगणार्चितसेवितलिङ्गम् भावैर्भक्तिभिरेव च लिङ्गम् दिनकरकोटिप्रभाकरलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् अष्टदलोपरिवेष्टितलिङ्गम् सर्वसमोद्भवकारणलिङ्गम् अष्टतरेत्रविनाशकलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् सुरगुरुसुरवरपूजितलिङ्गम् सुरवनपुष्पसदार्चितलिङ्गम् परमपदं परमात्मकलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम्
Now we'll just begin to do the balancing and the grounding. And have a good evening, everybody.